Here we are, the final speech. Well, Professor, I want to thank you first and foremost for everything that you showed us here in this class. It's definitely been a good refresher for me, to say the least. Dan Houston brought up some really good topics that it's not anything that I didn't know before, but more or less was buried underneath everything else that's going on in my life. That it's crazy to think that you can get stressed and frustrated on a daily basis, and when it comes down to it, it's truly just the fact that you're not really being there 100% in terms of communication. I mean, that's the foundation of everything we do. Without communication, there's really no progression. And one of the biggest topics that really brushed my memory is the section, chapter 2, I believe, on listening. So, just a little background on me. My job consists of traveling across the United States, and I host training seminars for my company where I have anywhere from 30 to 60 people sitting, staring me in the eyes, and listening to every word that comes out of my mouth. Now, when it comes down to it, you end up in a routine where you're the one talking so much that you're not really listening so much. And that can be a big downturn in not just work relations, but everything in your life. So, when I was reading through the chapter on listening and how Dan Houston was talking about being 100% there for the conversation and actually listening to the words that are coming out of these individuals' mouths and waiting until they're done talking before giving a response, it really changed my mind on how I've been communicating with people. For the longest time, I'd say the last 5, 6, 7 months, I've been in a position where every single minute mattered. There was no real downtime or leisure time in anything that I was doing. I was on a very strict schedule. One from point A to point B to point C. If I was 5 minutes late, that'd be the end of the world. So when it came down to my time, it was very precious for me. So when I was communicating with people, I already had responses consistently. There was never a time to actually wait and say, hold on, let me listen to what you're saying before I actually respond, which in a lot of cases was a negative thing for me. So, with that being said, chapter 2 was a big point for me, and even in this class alone, it was difficult at first to really focus in when I was actually working on my schoolwork. But after just the second week, I realized, that needs to change, because it's not even just the people you're talking to that are affected by you not listening. You're affected on your own because you're not giving that quality response, which is important. So that was the biggest part in what I took away from this course. And obviously the mindfulness set, being here and now, is a big factor that I've had in my life for many years. I was definitely doing some pretty extensive research on Buddhism and their consideration of mindfulness, which is much more in depth on mindfulness. But when you take the two, mindfulness and communications, and putting them together, it makes a really big impact on your ability to communicate with people on a daily basis. And I've seen a difference over the last 8 weeks. So again, Professor, I could only thank you for that. But the other topics that you wanted us to go over in this final speech was about meditation. That's a big one. Meditation is definitely something that I used to do on a regular basis, but again, with my time being so limited and the amount of things that need to get done during that time, I was neglecting the mindfulness and neglecting my meditation. Now, meditation comes in all different forms and aspects. The Communications book here by Dan Houston had some really good ideas. But for me, when I'm meditating, it's definitely objectively getting everything out and just getting down to the bare minimums, focusing on breathing, feeling the blood rushing through your body. I don't know if it's an unhealthy practice, but the only way that I can really get to that point is when I have headphones in my ears, my music's turned up to 100, and it just drowns out the thoughts that are in my head. Because at the end of the day, I don't have that extra minute to just relax my mind. It's been now for several years, constant, always have an action to every reaction before I could even think about what that action should have been. So when I'm meditating, I'm basically just pausing for a moment and saying to myself, hey, you gotta give yourself a minute to think, because eventually, every once in a while, I catch myself, the quality of my work is so poor that I realize the biggest reason is that my mind's not thinking the way it typically does. And I'm only 24, so I can't really say that my mind isn't as sharp as it used to be, because I'm still pretty young, but I definitely feel like I've put a lot of strain on my physical abilities to think thoroughly and think proper and so on and so forth. I'm just talking at this point. See, I don't know if you can see this, but I live by it. I know it's a pink mug. It's still mine because my daughter got it for me, but it says, life is good. Life is always good. I have to keep life is good with me everywhere, because regardless of the situation that you're in, life is always good. You got it on my laptop here. Life is good. Yeah, it's everywhere. Because at the end of the day, could always be worse, right? So when I was talking about meditation, something that I've definitely been lacking, moving forward, I think for me personally, the biggest thing that I need to focus on is not over extenuating my time. So there's a limited amount of time in a week, and I definitely feel like I pushed my boundaries as to the amount of work I could efficiently do during the week. So now, moving forward, I think I have one more class and I'm done with school. Work it's coming to the summer, so I definitely have more time to myself. Vacation, right? Yeah. But moving forward, keeping in the back of my mind, I know that I need to make sure there's time for myself, which isn't something that I've had a lot of in the past year. But meditation is definitely one of the best ways to allot time specifically to better yourself, which is something I absolutely am going to be doing moving forward. I have always kept a journal on just how I'm doing. It was something that I took up probably my junior year of high school. It's been the same journal. No one's ever seen it. It's like one of those secretive type of things, you know, but it's not something that I enter entries in on a daily basis. I think maybe it's very inconsistent, but the most I've ever done is like 1 or 2 weeks consistently, once a week, and then typically it's about once a month or once every 3 or 4 months, but it's just a life journal, trying to make sure I keep up to date with where I am and where I was, because when you push the boundaries of the amount of time that you have to focus on one specific thing, you also tend to lose a lot of memory. The ability to remember things is something that I've had a big struggle with in the last year, and actually coming out of this class, I've realized a lot of it is because I'm not 100% focusing in on what it is that I'm trying to remember, which comes with, mindfulness communication, making sure that you're 100% a part of the conversation, actually listening, actually being an active listener. Those were topics that were brought up, absolutely. Something that I was very bad at doing prior to this class, something that I plan on bettering myself with moving forward. And yoga, I'm not sure about yoga. I've never tried it. I've definitely had some people in my life that were like, yoga's the best thing in the world, and my sister does yoga at home, but nothing like at a class and anything like that. I think first and foremost, giving myself that moment of ease by myself and the journal entries, that's my forte in terms of meditation. I don't know. I'm open to new possibilities. Meditation is something that, like I said earlier, comes in many forms, and who knows? I'm definitely up for trying some yoga down the road. So at the end of the day, I'm going to take a lot away from this course. Out of any of the courses that I've taken at NHTI, and any of the millions of textbooks that I've kept from the years, I think this book is probably going to be one of the only ones that I'll catch myself going back through, if I ever, realize that I'm in a position where the quality of my work has decreased, the ability to communicate with people seems to be lacked thereof. But I definitely took away a lot from this course, and the thing is that out of any of the courses that I've taken at NHTI, I think this is probably going to be one of the most impactful moving forward in my life. Knowledge is great. I've learned a lot. I've taken a lot of courses, and out of any of the courses that I think I'm going to implement into my life on a day-to-day basis, it's definitely going to be mindfulness communication, which is something I'm very grateful for. So I wish you all the best, and Professor, again, I'll thank you personally, but right here, right now, everything you've shown us thus far in the class has been super beneficial in my life, and I can't thank you enough.